Heavenly Father, we come to you in this hour, asking for your guidance and protection to our virtual gathering today. We thank you for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of work, and the gift of friendship. We thank you for this great opportunity to bring us together in this session as brothers and sisters. Bless the committee, the facilitator, and the attendees of this gathering. May we continue to value and appreciate the true essence and meaning of life with the help of your grace. And as we go along to our discussion today, we humbly pray that you would deepen our understanding. Lord, enlighten us and give us wisdom every day. Forgive us for our shortcomings and remind us to always be mindful of the things we do in life. We offer our life and our decisions to you, O Lord. May this gathering today create a memorable experience and a fruitful outcome. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, our Redeemer and our Savior. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on an introduction to digital ethics perspective from global online learning. I am 𝗂𝘁𝘁𝗿𝗂𝗰, one of the experienced sharers of this webinar. So to give us the full details of this webinar and the first experience sharer, may I call on Assistant Professor 𝗚𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗍𝗍, the faculty in charge of information, quality assurance, and new programs at the Dr. Mariano C. Lau Global Studies Center of Silliman University. Let's give her a virtual applause.
Salamat, Sir Fredly. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Maayong hapon sa tanan, and we are glad to share to you today what we have actually learned when we took the course An Introduction to Digital Technology, to Digital Ethics. Now, it was offered to us by the Hong Kong Baptist University. Thanks to 𝗬𝗍𝗂𝗂𝗍 also for giving us the opportunity. That was last year around September to December, no? It's very timely. It was a timely opportunity for us, given to us, and we learned numerous points from the 4 modules of the course. So it is also high time that we uh, share it to you as well. No, as for my part, I'll be sharing key takeaways from module 1. No, and while you are with me, let me just also share my screen. Sorry. Okay. Again, while you are with me, you will be able to explore also with me what digital ethics is all about. Why is it important? No, we always think of generative AI, digital tools, but let's go back to digital ethics. Why is it important, and how ethical thinking applies to our modern world, our digital world nowadays, particularly because most of us are in education, no? I have seen students around, so I'm very glad that there are students who are also attending this type of webinar. So, by the way, I'm giving you a heads up that you will be hearing a lot of questions from me. Questions for you, not really to answer, but maybe to answer on your own, but to ponder, especially because we will be talking about digital ethics. No, we have been integrating digital tools, no, into our teaching, our learning, in doing our research, even in our everyday interactions with our family, with our friends, with our colleagues, no? It's easier for us to interact nowadays. And we often um, encounter ethical dilemmas. Well, we have integrated all of these digital technologies into our life, maybe as a teacher, as a professional, or maybe as a student, no? So, like, it's for example, should students be graded by AI?
The government and reformers to create
Yeah, the
welfare
government.
policies to improve the
Okay,
living and
so maybe
working
we could tone that
conditions
down. Okay,
based on the social problems in
okay. So that was muted. Okay, so should universities or should schools allow the collection and storage of student data? You might be thinking. How do we balance privacy with the need for data-driven decision making? These are just a few, no, maybe of the ethical questions that you will encounter today and maybe also ponder on. Actually seeks digital ethics. So we need digital ethics in order for us to be able to address these questions. And beyond discussing these concepts as well, I will share my personal reflection on the module, including my hopes and fears for digital technologies, especially as part of the academe. Um, and by the end of this talk, I have to leave you with how we can apply digital ethics, especially in our profession and our academic settings and environments. Okay, so let's start the ball rolling with my first slide. So the first question, oh, there you go. But really, no, instead of just giving you the definition of digital ethics, if you try to see, I've placed it in the slides, the easiest and the simplest definition or description I could give you. At its core, we could say digital ethics is really about the understanding and applying of moral principles to the way we utilize technology, any technology. So it considers questions of fairness, accountability, and the broader impact of digital innovations in our society. For example, think about generative AI tools that help students write reflections, essays. Many students could actually not just think, but they could actually also, maybe some of them have done it, maybe some of them have not. On one hand, they can be useful for brainstorming ideas or improving. Maybe you just want to have like an organization, or maybe you would just want it to be arranged for you by AI, or improving your writing, just improving your writing, maybe just your, because you're not very good with your words. So maybe you just want it improved with generative AI. But on the other hand, no, it still raises ethical concerns. Are students learning when they use generative AI, or are they relying on AI to do the thinking for them? No? Um, should we teachers also treat AI assisted essays as plagiarism? No, I know many of teachers have already made use of apps like Turnitin or PlugScan that actually is an anti-plagiarism app. It could also detect the percentage of AI generated uh, work, no? So these dilemmas highlight why such digital ethics is essential, no? Especially in helping us trying to traverse the fine line, because it's also a fine line, no? A fine line between innovation and integrity. Innovation and integrity. So in here, digital ethics, we all know by now, does not provide us with a one size fits all answers. It's not like your objective type of exam that this is just the answer for that question. No? Instead, it gives us later on, no, with my maybe in the next few slides, the framework so we could anchor um, our decision making from these frameworks, and then also to evaluate. These frameworks will help us to evaluate, say, benefits and risks of technology use in in different contexts, which we will be discussing also as we further go along. Okay, so hopefully you were able to imbibe, as well as because you have made use of digital ethics in you, you were able to really imbibe what digital ethics is. Then I will give another question to that one. Why are we thinking of digital ethics? Why is it a concern to us? No? Why do we feel ashamed or embarrassed when someone sees us opening ChatGPT? Mm. No? So it's because digital ethics matters because technology for us today, nowadays, it's no longer just an option. What do you mean by it's no longer an option? Because it's ingrained in our daily lives. It's embedded in us already to be making use of technology. We don't just make use of technology so that we could attend webinars like this, or maybe you could make use of ChatGPT. No, no. We make use of technology because we would want to interact with even our loved ones at home, even our houses, or maybe some of your houses might be smart with smart technology, no? So it's actually part of our daily living, technology. And from online learning platforms to, say, AI generated content, digital tools shape how we communicate, learn, and make decisions. Maybe some of you would agree, some of you would say, no, I still make use of my own, but not necessarily depend much with digital technology. But with this integration comes also responsibility. We have to always think of that one. It matters because this use of technology we also have great responsibility in dealing with the consequences of what we are using. Okay, so consider the rise of the learning management systems, no? So LMS, maybe many you are familiar with LMSs now, no? Because um, um, especially during the pandemic, no, they were sprouting. The LMS, they were sprouting everywhere because it was like our platform to really go on with teaching and learning during the pandemic. While yes, many are. They offer great advantages, like for example, making education accessible and efficient during the time when we cannot meet in person. They also raise concerns. So maybe during that time we didn't think of digital ethics at all, for as long as I could just really teach online, no, I could deliver it to my students. But right now, we all have the time to think about this. What happens to the data collected on students? Like for example, just yesterday, my students submitted to me their work. Who owns it now? Kinsa nay tag-iya? Is it me, the teacher, because they submitted it to me? Or is it still owned by the students? Another one, can it be used to make predictions about students' future performance? Meaning, like, for example, like us here in the office, we are admins of the learning management system. Can we easily just use it for analytics or whatever? That's another story to tell with digital ethics. And then, should schools have the right to track students' online behaviors outside of school hours? That's another part of digital ethics. Why? Most of our teachers nowadays, or most of us teachers nowadays, are friends with students in social media. Student one was absent for the week, and you found out that the student was actually in Siargao vacationing without telling you or without asking permission. Should you be able to right there and then also also maybe message a student, blah blah blah, so on and so forth? Is that part of a good practice of digital ethics? So these questions show that uh, digital tools are not neutral anymore. No, we could realize that this digital technology is not neutral at all, and they come again with ethical challenges. So thinking about again, digital ethics ensures that we use technology responsibly. So I'm always saying, si Ma'am Alfie murag sirang plaka, but use technology responsibly so that we make sure that we maximize its benefits, no, while addressing its risks. So it's really something like this: maximize its benefit or use it to the fullest while also being mindful or at least addressing its risks or the consequences of making use of such technology. Okay, so I was mentioning to you earlier that we have to have a framework that we could anchor our, especially our decision making when it comes to um, digital ethics. No, may these frameworks could actually be contradicting, but in some ways, it is very helpful to us, especially in dealing with situations wherein we need to do or we need to have our decisions on dilemmas. These frameworks they have distinct perspectives on what is right and wrong in digital decision making. So again, maybe for one framework, it could be this, but it could actually be a dilemma on the other. But let's just try to see. Okay, so for example, the first one is consequentialism. So the consequentialist approach asks, um, does this action lead to the best possible outcome? Uh, like, for example, a school using AI to evaluate student assignments might argue that it saves time and ensures consistency. No? So, like, for example, a teacher making use of um, um, a, an anti-plagiarism tool, no? Does it save time and ensures consistency? Yes, maybe for that function. But what if AI misinterprets creativity as plagiarism? What if it introduces biases in grading? So I'll just give you an example. No, example is during the first few months of the existence of generative AI, I've already also made sure that I have like an anti-plagiarism app with my activities, especially for like essays or maybe research or reflections, things like that. And I also have my own instructions, though the university by then didn't have yet an implemented set of guidelines, but I have made my own placed in the instructions. And um, it actually is something that I had submissions wherein not that many, but I had submissions wherein it was 100% generative AI. So in there, no, so in there, I actually did not give them zero right away. What I did was I still gave them the chance to explain themselves. So I talked to the students. No, I talked to the students, and I have actually realized so many things, especially because AI by then was not that fully developed yet. It was still starting. So it also had, because of my way of reaching out to the students, I also discovered some glitches that was with AI, with the use of generative AI. So, and then what if it introduces biases in grading? Like, for example, you have, like, I've heard of a case, it's not in my class, but a case from a different student who said that she had to intentionally place a mistake or an error in her writing just so it can it can't be tagged as 100% generative AI. No, so that would be unfair to the student as well, no, because she writes well, but because of the standards or the program of generative AI, it was flagged it was actually tagged as 100% generated by AI. So that is how consequentialist approaches would work, no? Then we go to the rights and rules approach. Okay. Questions like, does this action respect students' rights? Okay. I mean, I see a lot of posts of maybe from teachers or maybe just to really have content over social media of some of maybe students' works or something. Does this action respect students' rights? Um, Also, do students have the right to know if their work is being graded by AI? Because sometimes the teachers won't say or place in their instruction that this this submission will go through um, turn it in, blah, blah, blah. So there is no such statement from the teacher. Just so the student will be shocked that the teacher has given her the feedback or maybe the the result of the anti-plagiarism app, no? So the rights and rules approach. Okay. So again, another good point here is, do the students have or are given the choice to opt out, especially if they know that it will have to go through such? Is that a right for the students, or is that it's not an option for the students? So that's actually something that we have to also consider, consider when we make decisions like these or when we make use of technologies like these. And we have here the third one, which is the virtue ethics approach that focuses on values and character. Values and character. So maybe most of us think that when we talk of ethics, it's always the values and character, but it's just one framework that we could actually anchor upon. Like, what kind of habits and behavior does this technology encourage? Sure, I'm introducing generative AI to my students, but if students know AI is grading them, no, will they still put in effort? Like for example, I mean, I think I have many students here, no? So whenever you know that the teacher is making use of maybe turn it in, do you also assume right away, mom is not reading it anymore? So as teachers, we should be able to also set it straight to them that it's not just read by me, but it's also verified with this for these functions. No, so I for myself, I still read the works of my students and not just depend on AI solely to just grade it or just depend on AI to give me, okay, it's 100% plagiarized or it's 100% AI generated, and um then they'll be given a zero right away. No? And lastly, lastly, it's the justice approach. No, justice approach looks at, of course, fairness when we talk of justice. So does this AI grading system disadvantage certain students? As I have mentioned earlier, disadvantage because if I go back to my example of a student having to alter deliberately alter her way of writing just so she won't get a high percentage of AI generation, no? So that would be unfair for the student that she writes because she writes very well, no? So does it favor those with access to better technology or specific writing styles? No, so it's really something that's also that's also we have to look into, no, or we have to also consider as teachers. So these frameworks, no, help us critically analyze these dilemmas and make informed ethical decisions for us. It helps us have uh, better and informed ethical decisions. Okay? So hopefully, no, my idea na, especially for the teachers out there, so it's not just really making use of it right away to pakitang gilas or whatever. It's more of we also have to be mindful of the consequences, especially, or we have to also know our responsibilities in dealing with technologies. And Let's look at, before I go or give you my takeaways, no? So let's look at this case studies to illustrate how digital ethics applies in real life situations, no? Many schools collect student feedback through online platforms, no? Maybe Google Forms, ganyan. While it is a great tool for improving courses, or maybe how we deal with our own subjects and courses, it also raises ethical concerns. Like, if feedback is anonymous, you'd say, it's anonymous, blah blah blah. Can a teacher still recognize a student based on the writing style or the issues they bring up? No, especially kung si student leaves a harsh comment for the teacher, could it intentionally create bias in how the teacher interacts with them in the future? So something like that. No, so this is actually still part of digital ethics. No, so it's not. And if we look at digital ethics now, it's not just um, always for the students, but it should be for both sides, for the teacher as well as for the students. So again, it's not just for the students to be applied on. We teachers also should be able to have our own ways, or our own anchors, no, especially in dealing with digital ethics. By the way, before I proceed to the next slide, another concern is actually data security. Though I know data ethics will be um, it, it will be presented to you by our next presenter. But if student responses are stored long term, like for example, no, the student submitted to me in my soul this essay. And then another subject or another course is asking a similar type of activity. So the student will also have to just not really write from scratch, but just maybe update his or her work that was submitted to me. But the the submission was there for a long time, maybe more than a sem, no? Could they be used against them later, such as academic? It's like maybe it could be flagged as maybe plagiarized, or maybe, yeah, plagiarized work, because it was they are two different submissions, maybe from different teachers, no? So it could actually be something that could be like a dilemma also, a dilemma also. So these issues highlight why digital ethics is critical, because we need safeguards, yes, to ensure data is collected and used responsibly. So we are actually on my last two slides, no? So uh they are reacting that I'm on my last two slides. Anyway, yes, I am on my last two slides. And my key takeaways, one of my biggest, no, takeaways from the course that I have attended is the dual nature of technology. No, because I feel like it has the power to transform learning positively, especially because I myself really make use or involve technology so much in my course, but it can also create unintended consequences, as I have mentioned earlier. On the positive side, though, digital tools, they make learning more engaging, right? So like for example, this time, no, you don't have to really come here in person. You just there's our engagement is done online, no? And then um there are so many ways to actually present content, especially that makes it more engaging to our learners, no? It's not anymore just puro photocopy, or just puro PDF. You could actually have a variety of content that you could present your learners, and this actually helps out in their engagement with the topic, or even with a course. And AI powered learning platforms can provide personalized feedback. And virtual reality can bring abstract concepts to life. 'Di ba? Gamification, VR, augmented reality. These innovations hold really a great promise for making education more interactive and effective. I always hang or I always hold on to uh, that belief, no? I always hold on to that belief. However, my greatest concern is on the over reliance on technology. If students use AI to write essays or summarize readings, are they truly learning? And are we fostering a culture where students engage deeply with ideas? Or are we just training them to do copy pasting? No? So ultimately, uh, when we talk of digital ethics, it should be about balance. Again, balance. And I'm not just talking about students here, huh? Because some teachers could have the tendency to also be too technology dependent. Ay di ta magklase kay brown out, dili ko ka present sa ako ang PowerPoint. As for me, no, even though my course or the subject that I'm handling has to be involved with technology, I make it a point that active learning and authentic learning is still done in the classroom. Okay. So I hope you are still there. You are still there. I'm already in my last slide. So final thoughts. I have my key takeaways. Now my final thoughts as I wrap this sharing on digital ethics. So one thing is that ethical decision making in technology is not just about following rules. Again, it's not just about following rules, teachers. Yeah, it's all right. I've already placed it in my instructions that zero sila, then zero sila. See, it's about fostering a responsible digital culture. It should not be about being embarrassed because I'm using this. But again, it should be, we have to present it to our students in such a way that we are fostering that responsible digital culture in them as well. No? Whether we are teachers, again, students, or professionals. The way we engage with technology shapes not only our experiences, but also those that will come in the future, no? Kay, it's actually evolving, so maybe in the future also it shapes how they will be using it as professionals. Our students now, it will shape how we have instilled in them the use of technology will also shape how they will become as professionals, as well as us, how we age along or how we mature along in our profession and in with technology. I could say, no, the challenge ahead is more of um, to ensure that digital tools remain, again, I have to highlight this, enablers. Again, enablers, no, of learning, creativity, and connection. It should enable these things, no? The things that you help your students deal with, especially with the use of technology, technology should enable them to be learning, creative, and connected, rather than sources of biases, inequality, and worse, over reliance. Students, learners, we are not teaching you with the integration of technology in the academe for you to be over reliant with these things. There's more to AI, there's more to technology out there in the world than just making use of them. And this we have to continuously ask ourselves, maybe check ourselves from time to time. Are we using technology to empower? And this is my last question. Are we using technology to empower or are we letting it control us? Maybe you'll have to ask yourself maybe every week by that. If it's letting it control you, then we must do something about it. Again, are we using technology to empower us or are we letting it control us? So, with that said, I'd like to transition to our next speaker. So, Sir Jade Montemayor is our next speaker, and he will further explore, especially on basic data ethics. No? So, mine was digital ethics, the whole thing. This time, Sir Jade will maybe give you more examples on data ethics. Your insights will deepen our understanding of how digital ethics applies in data collections. No? So please join me in welcoming Sir Jade Montemayor. A big virtual round of applause for Sir Jade. Sir Jade.
Hi, Ma'am Alfie. Thank you, Ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's session. So that was a really insightful talk from Ma'am Alfie. So I actually was taking down notes while Ma'am Alfie was giving her part for Module 1. So there's a lot of things to learn, particularly for digital ethics. So it's the broader concept, and then the succeeding modules or the succeeding sharers will talk about more of like a specific subset of what the course was all about. So for me, I'm going to share about basic data ethics, the use and protection of our datas, right, of our data. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay. There, so I hope you can now see my screen. Sir Fred, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so I just want to check if we still have our audience with us, as if you can just make any reactions, or if you can just press any of the reaction buttons on your Zoom. Let me check. Sige, if you can just like or just type hi, just to check if you're still there. Audiences? Okay, smiley. What about the others? Natulog na guro ng uban, okay? Sige. Okay. There you go. So I think our audience is very much active and very much alive, right? Again, so what I've said, I will be talking about basic data ethics. It's a subset. That's what I've said. Ma'am Alfie talks about the broader concept of what digital ethics is, and mine is a subset of that particular topic, which is about data ethics. Okay, so while Ma'am Alfie was talking, I actually added something on my presentation because it just something just came to my mind. So I just want to ask you this: have you ever heard the term data-driven decision? Yes or no? Yeah, let me see. Yes. Have you ever heard the term or the phrase or the statement data-driven decision? Okay, reacts or say yes or no in the chat box. Wala. Let me check. No, never heard. Sige. Okay, no, no. Yeah, okay. Sige. So, well, based on the current responses, right, that we're getting, most seems like the majority is probably not so aware of this particular statement. But we are actually dealing with this with well, if you don't notice, you're actually doing it on a daily basis. So, like for example, this particular question: why do we have to sleep? As human beings, why do we have to sleep? Right. So that's a really common, or probably you might say that's an absurd question, right? Because we really need to sleep. But why? Okay. So there's an explanation behind that particular question. We need to sleep because data shows that when a person is deprived of sleeping, this and this and this will happen, right? So we decide whether we like it or not. We actually decide based on available information. We decide based on the data, the previous data that we already know about a certain thing. What about this? Have you heard of this? Have you ever heard of the scandal for Cambridge Analytica? Think this was around 2016. Be, on the chat box. Sige. Okay, so this is actually one of, I would say, one of the uh, biggest scandal, no, that involves Facebook. So what happened was, oh, sorry for that. What happened was in 2018, it was revealed that Cambridge Analytica, it's a political consulting firm. It's a company, right? Had harvested the Facebook data of around 87 million users, right? So there's a data from Facebook. We all know that we have data from Facebook. Even Philippines is one of the countries that's in terms of the penetration for Facebook usage, we're one of the largest user of Facebook, right? So there's 87 million users. Their data from Facebook was harvested by this particular organization, and then they use it for other matters. Like for an instance, they target ads to a particular group of people based on their data on Facebook, right? So what's the ethical issue for that? There's lack of user consent. So users are unaware that their data was being used. Failure of transparency for the part of Facebook, and of course, manipulation of behavior. Okay? Manipulation of behavior because the data that was being shown to them is based on their profile, right? So if their profile is, if they are inclined to a certain person, they might not be getting, uh, they might not be getting in terms of fluency, they might not be getting enough ads, different from the from other people, right? So that is the scandal. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, what about this one? Data Privacy Act of 2012. Okay, so we are all data subjects. For example, here at school, we collect your different data. So you have your school data, your name, your address, even your parents' name, their work. So these are all data, right? Okay, so you are the data subject. And then for that, you actually have the right to your data. This is, we have a data, we have this law from 2012. It says that you as the data owner has the right to be informed to your data, has the right to access your data. Wait for the what? Sorry for this. Okay, sige. So you have a right to correction, you have the right to erasure, and right to object to your existing data. So again, be aware that we have a law here in the Philippines that basically protect you and of course your data. Okay, right. So let's now describe what is data ethics. Okay, so earlier, Ma'am Alfie talks about uh, digital ethics, right? So now let's describe or let's define what is data ethics. So it says here that data ethics refers to the moral principles and guidelines that govern the ethics of data collection, processing, and use. So in particular, they address the ethical consideration arising from an increasingly pervasive role of data in our lives. Okay. So, what are the key aspects of data ethics? Okay. So there are four. The first one is we have to respect or or respecting individual rights to privacy and autonomy. So what does it mean? So every person has the right to control their personal data. So organizations, including schools and universities, should respect this right by ensuring data is collected, stored, and used ethically. As what has been reflected by RA 10173 or our Data Privacy Act of 2012, it says that especially for the right of data subject, you have the right to be informed of what they are doing with your data. So that's what it says here. They have to respect the privacy and autonomy of your data. So why does it matter? So like for example, for students and educators, right? We should not feel, especially that for an instance, let's link it to our LMS. So we should not feel that we are monitored or our data is exploited within the learning management system, right? So again, as what I've said, we have a law for that that protects the unethical and misuse of our data. So another one is obtaining informed consent. So throughout my talk, you will keep on hearing about the term respecting privacy and autonomy as well as consent, right? So why does it matter? Why does it matter to obtain consent for data collection and use? So before collecting or using someone's data, organizations must clearly explain. So like for example, in our case, that would be the school, what data is being collected, why it is being collected, how it will be used, and who will have access to it. Four main questions. And you, as a data subject, you should also know about that. You should ask that organization, why is your data being collected? Why is it, why, what data is being collected? That's the first one. Why? Why is that data being collected? How it will be used, and who will have access to that data? So that's your right. That's stipulated in RA 10173. Right. So why does it matter? Because informed consent empowers you. So it empowers us individuals by letting them decide if they want to share their data. So it basically makes you decide, okay, so this is how they're gonna be using my data. Now that I know how are they gonna be using my data, would I still want to share my data? So it would empower you to decide, right? So it also prevents organizations from silently collecting or misusing data. Okay, so there. The third one is being transparent about data practices. Okay, so what does it mean? So organizations or our school must clearly disclose their data collection, storage, and usage policies. So for Silliman University, in terms of our data storage, we have at least, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years of data, and after that, we'll be archiving those data. Right? For the LMS, we keep data as since the start. So we have data from the start of our LMS. Right? So why does it matter? Because transparency helps user understand how their data is being handled, and since you understand how your data is being handled, it could build trust. Okay. And lastly, of course, we have mitigating risk of harm and discrimination. So organizations should ensure that data-driven decisions do not cause harm, reinforce biases, or lead to discrimination. Okay? So those are the key aspects, four key aspects of data ethics. Now, why is it important? So we now know that there are different aspects of data ethics. Why is data ethics so important? Okay, so the first one is protection of individual rights. Again, throughout this talk, you will be hearing about the words consent, protection of the person's right, because this is what data ethics is all about. Okay, so big data often involves the collection and analysis of massive amounts of personal information. Like for example, here at Silliman University, so the school has been in operation for more than 100 years, right? So with that kind of timeline, we've been collecting a lot of data. So that's we can actually refer to that as big data, right? So without ethical guidelines, there's a risk of infringing upon individuals' rights to privacy, right? So, like for example, I think this was mentioned by Ma'am Alfie, or if I'm not mistaken, this was from the yesterday's talk that I joined. So, for example, a person graduated. Let's just say you graduated from Silliman University. Um, do you have the right to ask that your data from this particular school be removed? You have the you actually have the right for that. Okay, but of course it has to go through as what we call it due process. But it's your right to know how your data is being used when that particular organization will be using your data, and if you want your data to be removed. So that's protection of individual rights. The second one is mitigation of biases and discrimination. Earlier, Ma'am Alfie really talks about the biases, particularly for AI, right? So data analytics can inadvertently perpetuate biases. So and reinforce existing inequalities, right? So unethical data practices such as bias algorithms or discriminatory profiling may result in unfair treatment. Okay. The third one, enhancement of trust and transparency. So trust is paramount in the use of all data. So mainly when it involves sensitive practices. So it has to be enhanced. Okay. And the fourth one is safeguarding against harm. For a while. Sorry, I have some technical problem with my slides for a while. Can't see. Okay. All right. So safeguarding against harm. So data has the potential to generate significant societal benefits, but it also carries inherent risk, right? So ethical data practices help mitigate the risk of harm, including privacy breaches, identity theft, or unintended consequence of data analysis. And then the last one, promoting social responsibility. It is very important because in an interconnected world that we have right now, the ethical use of data extends beyond your individual organization. Okay, so ethical data practice must promote social responsibility by considering the broader implications or broader impact of data-driven decisions on diverse stakeholders and on a particular organization. So we should align data practices with ethical principles, right? So that's the core of it. So what's next? So principles of ethical data collection and management. So there are 6 principles. Okay, let me check my time. Oh, it's still on time. So first we have consent. Again, always consent. For data collection, we always need to have consent. Whatever happens, if you are the one collecting the data, you should always start with informed consent. Okay? So the moment that you collect data and you have not presented any informed consent, that could be illegal collection of data. Okay? You always have to start with consent. So, and consent should be informed. You inform them that you are collecting this kind of data and how you use it. Fairness. So, fairness means that data should be used in ways that don't create biases, discriminate, or cause harm. So, you have your consent and it has to be fair. And then what's your intention? So the school or the organization should have good intentions regarding the data use. So your data or their data use should serve societal interest and not disadvantage individuals. Right? Again, ethical issue. In practice, a considerable amount of data is used for purposes that don't necessarily serve higher interests. So like for example, to target potential users or products and services. So this is what happened to Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, right? So they collected data because they want to target certain profiles. They want to give them certain ads. So that's it. The fourth is integrity. So organizations should act with integrity when collecting data. So that is They should ensure that the data they collect is accurate and reliable. So of course, if you become a data collector, or if you are into research and collecting data, you have to make sure that the data that you have, it has to have an integrity, or else if you are deciding based on that data, then your decisions might be influenced by that particular data. So if the data is ill-fated, then your decision will be ill-fated as well. So it has to have integrity. And then stewardship, right? So stewardship means data collection and management should occur in a protected and secure environment. So that's the last one. Okay, the framework. So I think this is my second to the last slide. Okay, so data ethics framework, right? So there are six elements of this data ethics framework, right? So beyond the principles that govern data ethics, a robust data ethics framework that governs ethical data collection and use is essential. It's really essential to have this particular framework uh, so that you can make sure that data-driven practices adhere to ethical principles. So first one is transparency. So organizations, should always be transparent about data collection processes. Okay? So if you are working in a certain organization, if you are a student, and if you want to know how your data is being processed, organizations should be open to that. They should be able to answer you. How is your data being collected and how is it being processed? It has to be transparent, right? So organizations should also provide mechanisms for individuals to withdraw their consent easily at any time. Okay, this is also critical, particularly for consent. So consent is not one time, right? So for example, you are part of Silliman University. Let's say you are a student, and for 4 years, and then of course, when you are enrolling, are given a consent that your data will be processed all throughout the time that you are here in Silliman University. But at any time within that time frame, you can actually revoke, or you can actually nullify your consent for your data. So it doesn't mean that you consent one time, your data will be processed forever. So you have consent can be easily revoked at any given time. Okay, so that's it. And the next is purpose and limitation. So data should be collected and used only for legitimate purposes and not further processed in a manner incompatible with those purposes. So you staying here at Silliman University, you have your data, and then after you graduated, if you are a student, for an instance, it has to have a certain period where your data will be archived and disposed. So there has to be a limitation. And then data minimization. So this is also really common. I have attended and I have registered a lot of registration for conferences or webinars or things like those. For me, there's over what we call this. They are collecting a lot of data for just a single event, for an event that doesn't even require your age, but they are collecting your age, right? So organizations should collect and retain only the minimum data necessary for the intended purpose. You are attending a webinar. Do they have to collect your gender? Do they have to collect your age? Do they have to collect your address? Things like those. So it has to be minimized. And then third one, security. So organizations have a responsibility to implement appropriate measures to protect data against unauthorized actions, including access, alteration, destruction, or disclosure. So this one, it should be on the organization themselves. They must ensure that there has to be a system, there has to be a secure system that would store all of this data that they have. And then accuracy and quality. So given the stored data that you have, organizations or our school should strive to maintain the accuracy, completeness, and reliability of data throughout its cycle, right? That's when integrity comes in. So you are storing an information, a data, you have to make sure that that has to be that has to contain integrity with it. And then the last one is accountability. So organizations should establish mechanisms for accountability and oversight to ensure compliance with ethical data practices. So in the Philippines, we do have this R8N173. We also assigned a data privacy officer here at Silliman University, which is a requirement for that particular RA. Okay, so this is my last slide. This is more of like a scenario, right? And we will try to answer this one based on the existing framework that we have based on transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, security, accuracy, and accountability. So this is I'm just anchoring this one to our current role here at the office, right? So again, as what Ma'am Alfie said, we are part of the administrations of the learning management system. So I'm just anchoring this one from there. So it says here, this is a sample scenario. So in our institution, we have our LMS, right? So with this, we have built-in analytics. Now, this analytics tracks students' login frequency, time spent on course materials, and even predicts who might fail based on their online activity. Now, faculty members are encouraged to use this data to provide targeted support, right? The intention is good. However, students were not explicitly informed that their activity was being tracked at such a detailed level. So when they know, some feel uncomfortable saying it feels like surveillance, while others appreciate the personalized support. What should the institution do? Now we will approach the answer based on the given framework from the previous slide. Okay, so that's our scenario. First, we have to start with transparency. Okay, so one of the most critical you are from Silliman University, we are using a certain third-party analytics tool to give us support, particularly for things like this, right? So analytics should only collect the minimum data necessary to support student learning and engagement, right? So analytics, for example, should not collect data outside the window of a learning management system, okay? They can have a program for that, but we don't allow that with our analytics provider. Okay? So only the minimum data required for that purpose. The fourth one, security. So educational institutions must implement strong security measures to safeguard student data from unauthorized access, breaches, or leaks. So we are very much confident. We are very much sure that our third party analytics platform is secure. Okay. And then the fifth one, accuracy and quality. So ensuring that the data that is being presented to us with the data analytics platform that we have is a reliable data, because with the data that they have given, we have to make certain decisions out of that. It has to be data driven decisions, right? So it has to be accurate, it has to be reliable, and it has to be free from biases. So there are certain biases that could happen in the data from an LMS. So like for example, if this data is taken mostly from a certain college, or is data taken from mostly from certain cohort of people, let's just say data taken mostly from male. So if you are gonna be making decisions out of that data, then your decision is a biased one. So it has to be free from bias. And then the last one, accountability, right? So again, we have to establish oversight and governance. So to maintain ethical data practices, institutions should have a clear governance structures and accountability mechanisms. So, like for example, designating data officers. We do have a data officer here. I'm not sure karon kung kinsa na, but we have that. We have to provide. This is for accountability, right? We have to provide students with mechanisms to challenge data usage, right? So we have to have last one. We have to have regular audits and compliance checks to ensure that we adhere to ethical and legal data protection standards. Okay, so that's basically it for my part. I think I've extended for like 10 minutes, but all in all, data ethics is again, it's if you take the course for data ethics, it would take you probably a week to do that, or if probably 2 to 3 days. But this is just a summarized version. This is a really short version, and um, it has to be localized. So what we learned from that course that we took from HKBU or Hong Kong Baptist University is a global concept of what data ethics is. This one, I tried to sum it up and I tried to localize it based on our audience, which is coming from mostly from Silliman University. So what really matters is you as a data subject, you have to know your rights. So I think that's it for my end. We have to proceed to our next speaker, which is Sir Fredly.
Okay,
Sir Fredly.
thank you, Sir Jade, for that detailed discussion about basic data ethics, the use and protection. So for now, just give me a minute to share my slide. Okay, I hope you are able now to see the slide. Can you give me a virtual thumbs up or any Zoom reactions? Okay, can I have reactions from our live audience? Okay, are you still there? Okay. So thank you very much. So my experience sharing is about generative AI ethics, particularly one of the module in the Hong Kong Baptist University. So in this part, you already know what is generative AI. Can I give a specific comment or can I get an insight what is generative AI based from your daily work or daily lives that affects you? So particularly, what is your concept about generative AI first? So can I get a feedback from the Zoom chat box? For you, what is generative AI? Okay. So I hope your responses is not coming from ChatGPT or any generative AI. Okay. Can you put that in the Zoom chat box? Okay, thank you for your responses. From Kyla, so it's a kind of artificial intelligence that generates content depending on the prompts the user gives. So that's one description of generative AI. It's a part, okay, of artificial intelligence. So some are text and multimedia content coming from an AI tool. Okay, thank you very much for your responses. So if I narrow it down, so basically your responses, okay, thank you very much. So if I narrow it down, mostly your responses, okay, so here as I take a look at the Zoom chat box, so many of you mentioned AI's ability to assist in writing, summarizing, and idea generation. So while these are great advantages of that particular generative AI, there are also concerns about information disorder. So you all know about this information disorder is rampant in social media. So this is in the form of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. and as well as academic integrity, and then AI bias based on the training data that we have given to that specific generative AI. So in this part, okay, so in this part, I will just lower this hand reactions. Okay. So in this part, I want to share to you the generative AI ethics. So basically, when we say generative AI ethics, so in this part, this refers to the principles and guidelines that govern the responsible development, deployment, and the use of generative artificial intelligence or AI models. So these models are what we called from the early text-based generative AI like ChatGPT and other AI-powered content tools, which can generate a unique information about text, images, code, music, and many more. So ethical concerns arise due to their potential for that particular information disorder, bias, and intellectual property violations and misuse. So in this part, so here, so this is what we've done in the office. So we enroll ourselves to see the international perspective of digital ethics as well as the arising concept about generative AI. So in this part, so so as well as you notice, so this is somewhat one of my takeaway from this particular course, an introduction to digital ethics. So learning about generative AI ethics was eye-opening. So AI tools are powerful but come with ethical considerations. So these are some of the biases of the training data that you have inputted in that particular generative AI. The information disorder, as I said earlier, this will entail misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And accountability must always be addressed thoughtfully in this particular concept of generative AI ethics. So in this part, our university, Silliman University, embraces AI transformation to transform education. So we have our framework and implementing guidelines for AI integration to Silliman education. So you can have it, you can scan the QR code or you can copy or you can take a screenshot for that particular example OER for the integration of artificial intelligence into Silliman education. I will just uh, give a moment to copy this particular link in the Zoom chat box. So I hope you are able now to see the link in the integration of AI into Silliman education. So I will just give you a short overview about it. So I will just navigate in a specific web search engine like Google. Okay. So all you need to do is just simply copy the keyword. So I will just make it bigger so that you can see it clearly. So I placed there in the web search engine in Google, integration of artificial intelligence into Silliman education. So if you want to see the full detailed of this framework and implementing guidelines, so this is very important in to make ensure that ethical or generative AI ethics is considered in teaching and learning process. So in this part, you can click the integration of artificial intelligence. So this is in OER mode, so Open Educational Resources. So this is free to download. So you just simply click this one. And then here you will see a description. And then if you want to see the full details, so you can click, okay, you can click that in a PDF. Okay, so as I said earlier, the link is, I hope it is viewable in the Zoom chat box since I already placed the link. Okay, so here, this will be the detail of that particular paper. Okay, so I will just simply highlight the generative AI ethics in this part, in the part of Silliman education with the integration of AI. So here, we can see here the details, and then we have the table of contents about it. So here we have the framework and then the implementing guidelines. So we have the generative uh, classroom policies, the do's and don'ts, as well as the guidelines for AI declaration usage, transparency and detection, and then examples of AI integration. And then we have here the area for administration and management, upscaling avenues for learning, and then we have the initiatives we've done. Okay. And then we have the glossary of terms. So I will just simply give you an overview. So we have here our implementing guidelines. So this is about learning, teaching, and operations and management. So here we have this one. So we have these components, and then we have this particular detailed information about it. So we will just simply give you a simple run through that we have an framework and implementing guidelines of AI integration in Silliman University. So to give that a full detail, so you can read that one or explore this particular pages in the table of contents. So one of the ethics in generative AI, so we implement AI declaration. Okay, so if we click this one, AI declaration, so we have here the list of tools used by that particular students, and then the descriptions on how the information was generated, and then the prompts used, and then you give the descriptions of how the outputs was used in your particular work or research or manuscripts. So here, this we have the samples of it. So if you have time, you can explore this particular part of the AI integration of Silliman University. So in here, this is not a one-time big time decision, but it has to go with all the stakeholders of that particular institution. It is planned out based from that particular departments, considering their views on the generative AI. So it is a collective effort in making this integration of artificial intelligence into Silliman education, considering the different departments. So here you can free to download this particular file, the integration of artificial intelligence into Silliman education. Okay. And then the next part, okay, here, the next part. So we have our initiatives done in the office. So we have what we call the upscaling sessions and the retooling, uh, upskilling, retooling, and then reskilling. And then we have the free computer education to support the framework and implementing guidelines of AI into Silliman education. So particularly our audiences, our students, administrators, faculty and staff, and then a broader community of Silliman. So we have series of particular upscaling, uh, free computer education. You can view it in our YouTube channel. So all you need to do is just go to youtube.com /C/Soul 2020, or just simply search Silliman Online University Learning. So in this case, I will just simply navigate it so that you have, okay. So I hope you can see our YouTube channel. So this is our YouTube channel. So all you need to do is just search Silliman Online University Learning, and you will see here, you can check the playlist, and here you can see all of our upscaling programs and free computer education from that particular semester. So we integrate also the concept of generative AI ethics in this particular upscaling programs. And then here, so and aside from giving you the upscaling, uh, reskilling, and retooling opportunities, so we also uh, join forces with the different organization or have a collaboration with PIAC, CHED, UBJA, and so on regarding the concept of the generative AI ethics or artificial intelligence as a whole. So in that case, okay, so as we all know, generative AI is a powerful tool with immense potential, but its ethical use depends on us. Okay, so as we move forward, let's commit to being responsible digital citizens by questioning, verifying, and using AI in a ways that align with ethical and academic standards in our institutions. I encourage you to continue exploring this topic, generative AI, because it's evolving. So engage in discussions about AI ethics and think critically about how we can shape a future where technology and ethical responsibility go hand in hand. So, thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on how we can collectively promote ethical AI practices in education and beyond. So, that's the end of my sharing. It's basically sharing of our implementing guidelines and framework in Silliman education. So at this point, I will give you to the last resource speaker or the last experience sharer, Mr. Russell Bashaw, about digital well-being.
Okay, thank you, Sir Fred. Let me just set this up for a moment. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So let me first begin my discussion about digital well-being on the assignment first. So you can see on the Zoom chat box the reading assignment or the sources that I've been using and preparing for this presentation. Sige, so with that, let me share my screen. Okay, it's visible, right? Okay. So this afternoon, I will be discussing to you one of the most, if not the most important part of digital ethics. It's about taking care of yourself. No, um, we talk about the frameworks and the use of AI and data privacy, but more importantly, the important part is you, right? So today we will explore how to maintain a and balanced, healthy and balanced play of technology and your own well-being. So it is about using technology in ways that support rather than harm your mental, emotional, and physical health. So first, let me pose you with a question. How many hours do you spend on screen daily? And what do you think, or what do you feel? What do you feel on this productivity of this time? Is it good, or is it just stressing you out, or it's giving you fatigue? Screen time isn't inherently bad, right? But how many of us use technology to determine its impact on our well-being? So can I have a chat or reaction from our participants? How many hours do you spend on screen daily, or on your smartphones particularly? Okay, apparently I can see your chat, so please just, if you want to talk, you can turn on your microphone and just say the number. Let me hear you guys. Wait. How many hours? Okay. See, Ma'am Lynn is having 8 hours in Facebook, 4 hours. Not just in Facebook, no. So there are a lot of other platforms like Twitter or X. There's Instagram, there's YouTube, and others. So yeah, some of them are on screen because it's part of their work. But okay, I've seen your responses, and on the average, it's about 7 hours or 8 hours. No. So, did you know that you can set it on your phone for your digital well-being? So, in your phone, go to your settings, and then if you're using Android, you can see the option on digital well-being, or some of them are termed digital balance, digital um, data usage, view app details, or device use today. If you can see that, try to evaluate yourself. Is it really you, or it's just a compulsion of what this social media is feeding you? It's like you're being addicted to it. You didn't know. Time passes, and then you realize it's already evening, or it's already past your bedtime. So for you to have a check on your digital well-being, you can see on your own phone, it's being tracked there, the number of times you open the app, or the number of hours you've been looking at your screen. So of course, no, if you're using iOS, there's also a screen time setting, or there's the app website activity. So those are the common words used to monitor on your digital well-being. So what is really digital well-being? Digital well-being. Wait, my screen seems to be frozen. Wait, there you go. Digital well-being is a term that refers to the impact of technology on our own mental, physical, social, and emotional health. How many of you these days have been feeling stressed out of all the feeds that you have been seeing on your Facebook feeds? Some of your friends are even now your enemies because you don't have the same political views, right? So it is now an academic and public health concern according to academia, or World Health Organization. Now let's break it down into different elements that make up the digital well-being. So there are at least four main aspects of digital well-being. There are more, but we will be focusing on this to summarize. So have a quick discussion on this, of course, for your own digital well-being. So we don't have to take it very long. So first is the emotional well-being. It's about managing stress, anxiety, and mental fatigue caused by digital overload. So you might be reading some comments and then you suddenly become inflamed with emotions because you don't agree with them, right? Is it worth it? Can I have a response from our participants? You can give thumbs up or heart if you want to say, is it worth it? Worth it bang you feel angry because you just saw someone's post or comment? Why didn't you just scroll down? Why do you have to feel angry? Right? There's also the cognitive well-being. No? Ah, wait, there's a chat. Okay, a sad face. Yeah, it's really sad that these things really affect us nowadays. No, uh, I still remember the day when there's Friendster. Maybe some of you did not have the some most of you did not have the chance to have Friendster, but Friendster is like Facebook when uh, during those days, mga decades ago. It's like it's something about the it's like Facebook, but there's less of the comments on politics, religion, on political correctness or whatever. So, of course, no, there's also cognitive well-being. It's about maintaining focus, attention, and meaningful engagement while using technology. So, some of us may be just doing our research or doing assignment, but then there's a notification, ping, or Shopee suddenly, Shopee. Then you get distracted, right? How many of you here have been distracted by Shopee's notification? Why does it have to sound like that? Right? Why does Shopee have to shout that there's a sale or 11/11 or 12/12 is coming? You don't there's also a for those of you who want to know, there are settings on your phone that you can, of course, disable these notifications. No, so go to your phone, go to settings, and then notification settings. Turn them off. Try it for a day, and then let's see if you're still feeling anxious, still feeling stressed, still overthinking about things. Just try it for the day, or maybe the next time when there's brownout, try to snooze all your notifications and then go out there, because the number three topic is physical well-being. It's avoiding digital eye strain, poor posture, or inactivity due to excessive screen use. So maybe you have been spending so much time in your phone or your laptop or on your PC that you don't remember anymore how to move, or you don't have much physical activity. Why not run next Sunday or take a walk on the boulevard, and or maybe ride a bicycle? Just find some time to detach yourself from your screen, right? Because there's no other way in uh, attaining your physical well-being than to do some physical activities, right? Especially on children. They are still developing, their muscles are still growing, their bones are still growing. And if they are always on screen, uh, this development or their physical development might be compromised, no? So next to that is social well-being. Of course, humans are very social, right? We are social animals. Yes, we are very social and we need interaction. But ironically, social media has alienated every one of us. We are uh, more focused on our phones, always bowing down. You don't even talk to your seatmates anymore. When you go to coffee shops, you're just on your screens. No more social interaction, right? There's no more ensuring that digital interaction support is real or meaningful connection rather than isolation. So it's all very artificial now. So these things, emotional, cognitive, physical, and social, you watch out on these aspects, not just on the digital world, but on yourself. Look at you. Are you emotionally well, cognitively well, physically well, or socially well, or socially awkward? Try to evaluate if is it too much or is it really worth it to buy data just to be angry, right? You spend money and then you look at Facebook and then you become angry. Why? Why? Anyone in the comment, please. You can say anything if you want to uh, just release it from your heart, or you want to share, just share. So how do we enhance our digital well-being after pointing out those elements, no? So let's try to see and how we can perhaps help on enhancing your digital well-being. Of course, first is to promote healthy digital habits. So I would suggest screen breaks, mindful scrolling, and especially sleep. You have to sleep. Maybe set an alarm to sleep. This time, set an alarm to sleep. Do not set an alarm to wake up, right? Try that. Or, of course, number two, fostering digital citizenship. It's about responsible tech use, privacy awareness, and ethical online behavior. So, did you know that in your Facebook, you can set your privacy settings and your the things that you can see, your preference or content preference. I will try to give you a hint later on how you can do that. But number three is establishing digital boundaries. So set limits on yourself on technology use, such as device-free meals. Try to eat your lunch and savor it without looking at your phones, or talk to your colleagues or friends or family when you are eating. Or yeah, turn off your notifications so that you will not be distracted in whatever you are doing. Because most of these days we are too focused on the digital world that we have detached from our reality. No? So of course, the last part is to be mindful on the use of digital tools, or especially AI. This was discussed priorly by Sir Fred. But of course, AI is a very good tool, but always using AI and then having it as your own and posting malinformation or malicious information on social media can be bad, not only for your own well-being but to the well-being of other people. No, so golden rule: do unto others what you want others do unto you. So if you don't want to be fooled by fake news, do not spread fake news yourself. Especially these days that it's very easy to generate some information or images using AI. No, so of course, yeah, it can enhance productivity, but please try to use it responsibly. So, yep. So let me share to you some apps. Ironically, I will share you apps when I'm with the one saying put down your phone. But these apps will probably help you on maintaining your screen time. So there are some apps that can track your screen time or reduce distractions and improve digital habits. So such as Forest, Freedom, Digital Wellbeing by Google, and there's also Family Link. For those of you who have brothers or sisters, or perhaps you have kids that you somehow gave them a phone and then created an account for them, but where in fact they should be playing around, right? But yes, Google Family Link can be helpful in maintaining your digital well-being. How does it help digital well-being? You can set time No, like I said, put an alarm when to sleep. These apps can help you do that. It can block your phone at certain times, or they can block a certain app on certain times. So, for example, maybe at around 9 o'clock in the evening, you can already block Facebook so that you'll stop scrolling. It takes some kind of effort, no, to regulate yourself, especially that we have been uh, addicted, so to say, in this dopamine induced social media consumption. So you have been fed a lot of things, what you want, the things you like to see, the things you like to hear, but then you did not realize that these things are these things are designed to keep you on screen, right? Why did they do that? It's because of business. More viewers means more chance of advertising. That's it. It's just business. And when everything is free, of course, social media is free, right? When everything is free, that means you are the commodity. You are the your data or your consumption is being sold to advertisers. It was discussed before by Sir Jade about data data privacy, right? But if you try to review Facebook's data privacy, they are actually you're actually giving them the right to share your data, not your personal data per se, but your consumption, or what things do you like, or what things do you want to watch, and then suddenly you realize Lazada or Shopee is suggesting you the same, even if you did not try to search it, right? It's like it's like you feel that these things are reading your mind, but they're not. It's called analytics, and they're doing that for business. uh, is it bad? That's some ethics that needs some kind of philosophical thought, but I leave that to you, if those things are bad, if that kind of marketing used by social media is bad. It's up to you. You decide on it. Is it bad or good? But to help you can see screenshots of the things that I check prior to this lecture. So let's begin with the rightmost part. That's the setting on Android. In my case, I'm using Android, so the term for my digital well-being tool is digital balance. So you can check that. No? To the participants, try to check if you can see digital balance on your settings on your phone. And then I think it's also there that you can set times on how many hours you can spend on your screen. And then the middle one, the one you can see is family link. This one is the usage of my brother. So you can see for kids, you can actually control their app usage and how many hours they can use it for a certain day. So you can see my brother has been using his phone on the average of at least 1 hour per day. That's because it's school day, so I try to minimize his usage on those kind of day. And then today, since today is a Saturday, it's not a school day, he probably has more time on spending on his phone. But that's also one way, to protect child's well-being, because children are really most vulnerable in these kinds of things. They're the most vulnerable in uh, um, compromising their own digital well-being. And lastly, the leftmost part is your Facebook setting. Go to your Facebook setting and then try to type on the search box uh, comment filter. There you can see the filters you can add I mean, you can block. Since you have been watching news on Facebook or reading comments, and then you're fed up about it because your friends keep posting things about it and it annoys you, you can snooze them perhaps for 30 days and check them out, and then snooze them again next April because it's still election until May. Maybe after the elections, you'll be friends again. Try that. You can snooze for now. If you're really annoyed, you can unfollow. Just yes, unfollowing a friend might be hard, but perhaps in real life you still can be friends, right? Who here has already unfollowed some of their friends? Can we have a chat or interaction from our participants? Have you tried unfollowing some of your friends because they are not in the same political views as you are? Anyone? Reaction? There's a raise of hand. Yes, you may talk right away. You can, yes, unfollowing a friend. Was it was it hard? Ah, okay. You raise your hand because you're saying yes. Okay, I get it. So yes, it's not a bad thing to do. No? In a case of for your own good, for your own well-being, because after all, it's your own feed that you're controlling, right? You don't have to look at everyone's post just because they posted it. You can unfollow them if you don't agree with them. Yes, and there's also a setting on Facebook where you can block certain words you can see on comments. Try to look for, let me check. Um, what's that? Because the screen is now too small, you might not be able to see it. Okay, so try to look for blacklist filter. Here, I'll show you my phone. Okay, it's not visible. Okay. Sige. So here, you can just on your Facebook settings, on your privacy settings, look for blacklist filter, and then try to add words you don't want to hear or you don't want to see on Facebook comments. Blacklist filter. Of course, there are a lot of people doing a lot of curse words in the comment section. It's not really necessary to course, but some of them really do. So for your own good, for your own well-being, especially if you're the kind of sensitive person who doesn't want to hear or see curse words, you can put them on the blacklist. Those words lang. And then the next time you look at your um, Facebook comments, you will see less of them. Less and less of them as you go on, and then you can also set more stringent settings on your Facebook uh, preferences. So there's you can also block certain unoriginal posts so that you will also avoid seeing fake news. So that's what I have been doing myself, and so far so good. I only see cats in my feed and no political views. So yeah, so far it's been good for me, and I hope that it will help you as well, no, in trying to detox yourself from the such toxic social media things that have been going on just recently, no. So again, now help let me ask you, kayo naman ang mag-discuss. Anyone who wants to talk, what are the small changes that you might make today to improve your digital well-being? After hearing some of my sharing, perhaps you were able to realize something, or perhaps you just want to reflect on your own, or how you can apply these concepts on your daily lives. Or anyone who wants to volunteer. Okay. Is it a raise of hands? Si Geraldine, is it a raise of hand to volunteer? I wait, this was the question before. Anyone wants to volunteer to talk about what changes you might do today or what changes you are doing probably right now to improve your own well-being? Any comment or sharing from our participants? Or perhaps you choose silence for your own well-being? Yeah, actually, staying silent can improve your well-being because you don't have to talk, right? You don't have to be scared of sharing. But that's okay because you're not compelled to. Actually, the reading assignment I give you before is not really a requirement, but it's something that I want to share because you might want to read more on this topic. No? Pero anyone who wants to share, where are our participants? Okay. Sige. So, okay. Sige. So that I guess that's the end of my presentation. I hope you're able to get at least something from that. And let me give you a last word. Technology is something that should serve you and not control you. So control your technology, control your phone, control your usage, because you are the master of technology. You're not a slave to technology. So yes, thank you all for become a farmer instead. I tend to have less time on. That's very good if you have tend to have less time on FB. Becoming a farmer, that's really good. Yeah, it's good for your health. It's an exercise. You can also get good food, and you're actually, yeah, you're helping also the environment, yourself, and that's really good. So yeah, so thank you for your sharing, and these are the sources that I have used on this presentation. The ones that I already gave before I started. You know, so you can check the links and read more or further on your digital well-being. So again, I am 𝗓𝗲𝗿𝗂𝗃𝗍, and thank you very much for listening and your reactions. Yeah, so there's actually an open forum section if you want to ask anything about our topics that was discussed, please let us know. Any questions from our participants? Going once, going twice, wala. Sige. I guess most of you are already resting now because you don't want to look at your screens anymore. That's good. Focus on your own digital well-being. And let us end this session this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.